So yes, welcome everyone. And I think we're just going to kick off and start this. Today, we're going to be continuing the conversation on the C word. And as I said, we have with us two amazing speakers. We have Kay here with us, and we also have Woju. We're going to be starting off with Kay, and then I will speak a bit about some updates that are happening right now with the pink smell. So my name is Woju, and I have a not-for-profit still in the process of being registered as a charity in the UK called the Pink Smile. It is a breast cancer charity, and I am a breast cancer, I say thriver, and we're thriving, to the glory of God. So we have K. Odetola. We have seen the importance of insurance. The Pink Smile Charity and what we're doing here, it's all about the BAME community, the Black community, about the stigma around cancer in the Black community. And what it's all about is encouraging us all to speak out and reach out. Cancer is not a death sentence. It's not a stigma, and early detection saves lives. And what we try to do is get people here who have been through the journey, who are thriving, who have been in remission for a few years now, just to speak to us, to encourage us. And if we have questions, we take questions. So what we'll do is we'll have the first speaker speak, and then you take questions, and then we'll have the second speaker also say something. But just to give a quick, brief introduction. A lot of people here know me. There might be a few people here who don't know me. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2019. I'm almost 6 years in remission now. I had to do two surgeries. Please mute. Sorry, I had to do two surgeries of lumpectomy. The first lumpectomy, I did not have clear margins, and then I had to take a second surgery and I had to do radiotherapy. In my case, I didn't have to do chemotherapy, but I had 15 sessions of radiotherapy. In terms of breast cancer and every cancer, it is different, and the journey is different for everyone. During my own experience, as I always say, it's like buying a car. You buy a car and it looks like everyone has the same car. And then I realized how rampant breast cancer was. I also realized how much of a stigma there was around it, where people don't talk. It's either people find lumps in their breast or some indentation or discharge, and out of fear, they do not go to the doctor, or they actually go and they're diagnosed with either, breast cancer, and this could be any type of cancer. And then again, they don't go for treatment because there are a lot of myths around these things. And also, what we're doing is creating a safe space for people to be able to talk about it and talk about what is going on so they can get the needed help. Right now, the Pink Smile Charity, as I said, it's in the process of being registered, but now I would mention that we have received a grant, which is really amazing. And so we're going to be running a 9 months project from now. And I think I need to let everyone know that it's important that those who will benefit from this, we're trying to reach out to these people. We're going to have this kind of event bi-monthly, and we're going to be having face-to-face events every month from now on. That will start. The first event, face-to-face event, should be the 22nd of February. More information will go out on that. And it's a place again for us to just speak. We'll have different speakers coming in to talk about various aspects, mental health, which affects people who go through this journey, nutrition. We will send out a form, a feedback form for people. Let's know what you really want to hear about in terms of support, to signpost people to wherever they need to go for whatever they will need that will be beneficial to them. And a very big part of the project is that we will be sponsoring at least 65 women. We'll be giving out free wigs help for people who have gone through chemotherapy. So for this purpose, we really would want, if you're here
Yeah,
and
sorry,
you're
I saw
going
your
through
email, but I was
any
on the
of
move. I
this,
got
if you are
lost.
going through this journey, if you're going through chemotherapy, if you've been through the cancer journey already, even if you're in remission, and if you're a carer or you even know anyone that has been through this, it's for everyone. The monthly face-to-face sessions is for everyone to come together, for us to have discussions about this. And we're going to be having support groups online that's specifically for people who have been through this. The truth is, having been through it, I realized the importance of being able to speak out, being able to talk about it, And as I say to people, it's okay not to be okay. So that space of the support groups, which will be bi-weekly online, so you can join from anywhere all over the world. I'll talk about this again in the middle of the program, just so people who are not here will hear this, because this is really important. So you can join the support group and we'll put out, you can send emails to be a part of this, info@pinksmile.org. That will be put on the chat. Sam, if you could please help me put that out, info@pinksmile.org. And that's for anything. If you want to be a volunteer, if you want to be a part of the support group, if you're going through chemotherapy and you will benefit from having a wig. And the whole point of that is that in NHS, they do supply wigs for people who've been through chemo, but mostly for people in the Black community. We don't find wigs that we can use. So we will be sponsoring 65 women, at least, could be more, will be sponsoring wigs and giving out wigs at those face-to-face events. We'll talk more about that. But right now, Kay, are you around? I just want us to go straight in and have our first speaker.
Hi, Flo. Thank you very
Oh,
much. I'm here.
fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you, Kay. Yeah. So we're going to go straight into this, and we might wonder, why do we have someone to do with insurance? And I think it's so important. Again, in our community, this is something we need to take very seriously. I just had something happen to me even at the beginning of this year that I've been dealing with, and I realized the utmost importance of insurance. When you meet yourself in a place where, you're not covered, and if you don't have insurance, that could cost you a lot, either in terms of finances or in terms of your health. So it's so important for us to have insurance. And that's why we've brought, because we're trying to cover various aspects of this. So protection, people always feel when we talk about insurance, just life insurance, life insurance. Yes, there's life insurance, but there's also insurance for critical illness. And I won't talk much about that. I will just let Kay himself come and talk about this aspect. So Kay is just going to come up now, and Kay is a practice financial advisor at Eminent Financial, and he has extensive experience providing customized mortgage advice and financial protection. I'm sorry, my eyes now, advice. And he's been doing this for the past almost 6 years now. And his role really is to guide clients through their financial journeys with data-driven insights and regulated advice. And one of his key specialties is financial protection. And that's ensuring that families and individuals are safeguarded against unexpected events, and critical illnesses like cancer can have a devastating financial impact, which is why protection insurance is a necessity, especially for those supporting loved ones. So without much ado, Kay, I'll just say, please come on. So let's welcome Kay. I know this is an E thing, but we can still clap for him and welcome him.
Hi. Hi,
Good to
everyone.
see
Can
you.
you hear me?
Yes,
Okay,
I can
thanks so
hear you.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's always a privilege to come to your program and to be able to impact. I just want to, commend you for the hard work you're doing in the community. I know it's not easy sparing you know, the rod and being in the forefront when people are scared. You're always there and always wanting to better a lot. So I really thank you for the opportunity to be here. And hello, everyone. My name is Odetola, and I'm a Practise financial advisor with the Eminent Financial. We're based in Canary Wharf in London, and it's a privilege to meet you all today. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and be interactive as much as possible. I could give you so much more, but given the limited time that we have, and I know that finance is one of those things that we just want to talk about, or we want to know how can we get help. As much as Flo will be supporting you with the support, pointing you in the direction of where to go to get help. Actually, what I do, my job on a day-to-day basis when I'm not meeting clients is actually meeting with the providers, checking the policies, making sure that it is fit for my clients, interrogating them, questioning them, making sure that I can add value. And hopefully, I have here with me today three of the biggest ones that we have. And they've given me their claims report. And what that means is that I can actually show you how much has been paid in the last few years in terms of people claiming for critical illness, particularly looking at the statistics that are actually cancer. So after this session, hopefully you can ask me questions, you can reach out to me, and you can, hear more about what I have to say. So I'm going to share my slides. I've got a lot of things I want to share, depending on how we go. But I want this to be very interactive. You can ask me questions, but I just want to start from a knowledge basis to kind of see what is it that we're talking about. So I'm going to share my screen. All right, thank you. All right, so just to make sure that everybody can capture exactly what we do. Again, the name is K. Odetola from Eminent Financial, okay? And essentially, I brought this single slide here just in case we're not able to say too much today. We're actually a one-stop shop for financial services in the UK. So we're part of the appointed representative of the Openwa Partnership. What that means is that we have the backings, the compliance, and everything you need to know in terms of how we can protect you financially. So we're regulated, it's a firm that is regulated by the FCA. And that's my reference number there. So fully everybody can see. Tonight, I've been invited to come and talk about protection. As you probably know, we do more than the protection. We actually do the whole of in terms of mortgages and wealth management as well. So as a firm, we're based in Canary Wharf in London, but we do have a face-to-face meeting and things like this to talk about. So I just feel that that's the one thing that I want to make sure that everybody can capture. If you want to take a picture, if you want to get back to me, that is there for you. Now, the next thing I would like to do is actually to talk about how do we, in fact, let's talk about the, why are we here, first of all. Oops, no, not that one. So I'm going to take this off. Yep. So when we talk about protecting yourself, we're talking about you protecting tomorrow, today. And there are few things that you can do to protect yourself. So critical illness means that you have been diagnosed with some of these conditions that, cancer is one of them, but there's so many much more. And this is what I want to show you from one of our providers. So they've reached out to me to give me this one page to kind of summarize how they protect you. So I'm gonna go for, so let's see. Pardon me, let's see. Yeah, this one here. So I just want to be broad and to make sure that everybody understands why we need to protect ourselves. These are a number of conditions that one can have. There's so many much of them. So they've been branched into different parts of the body. Now, we have a phenomenal NHS. NHS is trying their best to make sure that everybody's covered. Now, the reason why I brought this to you is to show you that there are so many things that could go wrong in the human body. And we hope that nothing like this will happen to us. But statistically, anybody that is born after 1960 have 1 in 2 chances of being diagnosed with cancer. And because of the advances in technology, it means that people are surviving cancer, and that, Flo and so many others are testament to that. And but the most important thing is that how do you financially protect yourself so that these things do not happen to you? And if they do happen, how do you, make sure that you have access to a lot of the funds that is available to you? Now, in my experience, what I found out is that we might say that we're busy, or it's too expensive, or insurance company don't pay. Now, I've got here the statistics here to show you from at least 3, time will not be able to show you everything, but I've got them here so that in case you want to see how much they're paying, what are they paying for, and in terms of the significance of what they're paying, which one is taking the biggest proportion of the payouts that they have. Now, this is a single page showing you 33 conditions that, one of our providers, I'm not here to promote any one of them. I don't work for anyone. For full disclosure, I do not work for any of the insurance companies. I just am an advisor, and I help my clients to know which one is the best for them. I've been, meeting with many of the providers. So as you can see here, we have 33 conditions, full payments. That tells you a lot. Bacterial meningitis, benign brain tumor, brain injury, trauma, anoxia, hypoxia. So there's so many conditions that I cannot mention. But also what I want to hopefully educate everybody here is that when you're having a policy, for those of us that, we've done a brilliant thing, we have a policy. Now, can you please make sure that you check that policy, and that policy is actually covering you for the full extent that you're entitled to? There's something called standard cover. I'm going to specifically focus on critical illness today, which is why I'm showing this thing. So there's something called standard cover, and there's something called the upgraded version, which is the meaning that you have on diagnosis. It means that they're going to pay for more. Sometimes if you have a standard one, it means that they will pay at stage 3, for example, for cancer. And if you have the upgraded one, it means that they will pay on diagnosis. There's a big difference. Now, because of cost, please make sure that the policy that you have covers you for everything. And when I say everything, it means that the best that the company that you have. So for example, I'll mention maybe 3 today: Aviva, Vitality, and maybe Liverpool Victoria. Please make sure that the policy that you have is the upgraded. I know for finance reason, it's better to get something than not to get anything at all. I get that. But please make sure that you check it. Make sure that it's going to cover you for, for the best that they have. Even if it's for a small amount of money, it's still better than, the standard one. But not to say that it's not good for you to have a standard one. I just want to add value today, and I just want you to be, to be informed so that you check your policy and make sure that you have something. So this is all I would say around the conditions. So you can see the different parts of the body. The purpose of this slide is just to make sure that you are aware that there's so many things that can go wrong. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is actually the, let's start with this one here. Claims report. Okay, so in 2023, this is from one of our providers. And this is the amount of money that's been paid on critical illness. So people that are diagnosed with critical illness. So anytime you go to barbershop and they tell you that insurance don't pay, ask them, have they disclosed before the diagnosis what is actually the state of condition health? So oftentimes people will come to you and tell you that insurance don't pay. That's not correct. Now, 91.6% of the policies that made claim were paid, and 362 million pounds were paid. And the number of claimants, over 5,000. Average payout is about 71,000 pounds. That's a lot of money. Whichever way you look at it, 71,000 pounds on average being paid is a lot of money. And the question is that we hope we never need it, but insurance companies do pay. So that's what I want to say about that one. I want to talk about another statistics in terms of, okay, I'll cover myself. We don't have, there's not enough funds. I've got another provider here. The best thing about this provider is that even when you're diagnosed and you're going through, treatment and stuff like that, I can assure you that even though you might be told that you can't get cover, actually, I can recommend a provider for you that you cannot Google on the internet and go to them directly because that's the way they work, that they will still cover you. And the cover starts from £10. We're talking about financial protection, and I just want to make it very simple that actually, obviously, we hope that none of these things happen. I have just brought this thing to show you the kind of money we're talking about. £250,000 is a lot of money by any standard. And knowing that you have £50 to get £250,000 for total disablement and things like that, I think is a lot of money. Also, I have another provider, like I said. I'm not here to promote any one of them, but I just want you to know that they do pay, and they pay a lot of money if you should be diagnosed. But the most important thing is that you need to have these policies in place before it is too late. Now, these are statistics from another provider. £170 million paid in 2024. Now, 94.6% of the claims were paid. Again, hopefully you can read the numbers. These are official numbers. Sorry, I'm not sure who's calling me that. Sorry about that. Okay. So all I want to say tonight is that insurance companies do pay. No matter what you've heard from anybody, please don't let anybody tell you that no, they don't pay. These are statistics. These are things that are real. And I want to share because I want to give you opportunity to ask me questions. I will complete by just telling you about it, what makes it even more important that you should protect yourself. I met a client just over 2 years, going to 3 years now, actually. And, just like you meet people and they welcome into their homes, and I protected them. And of course, they took everything that they could take on. And unfortunately, he was diagnosed with cancer. And on his sick bed, before he passed, because the person is not here again, he mentioned to me that the best thing that happened to him was meeting with me and making sure that the mortgage is going to be paid, making sure that, he will have a befitting burial. It was a moving time for me. And there's no way things like that will happen. You will never be changed permanently. So all I'm saying to anybody here is that these things are real. These things do happen. We hope that it will not happen to us. But please make sure that you truly care for your family. Make sure that you do have these protections in place. Finance is a lot. We all go to work for 40 years. We all earn money. So let's not shy away from the fact that we all need finance, irrespective of whatever stage we are in life. And these companies are there. They're very big. They're robust. They have the capacity to pay all these claims. Please make sure that you protect yourself. I'm here to answer questions. I just privileged to be here to share with you in terms of statistics, how much I've been paid and things like that. But there's nothing that stops you knowing that, with £10, protection starts for like £10. Okay. I will stop there. I want to, give you opportunity because today is not about me talking. It's about you asking questions. And if you have any doubts or anything like that, please let me know. And if you want to reach out to me and have a one-to-one with me as well, I'll be happy. But insurance do pay. And please make sure that you protect yourself financially and your family. Flo, I'll give over to you. Okay.
Thank you so much. Short and sweet and sharp. But as you said, would like interaction if you want to ask any questions with regards to that. As you said, I mean, insurance is important. And even though we know that, at least for us in the UK, for instance, we know we're covered by NHS and all that. but I do know of people who have been through critical illness, and then because you're having your treatment, you have to stop work. You can't go to work. You've used up all your um, holidays and all that. So insurance does cover that also. So there's protection for that. I'll just leave a couple of minutes. If there's anyone who wants to ask questions, you're free to raise up your e-hands or put the questions in the chat to ask questions. Kay's details have been put on the chat if you want to reach out to him personally. But yeah, if you do want to ask any questions, just to kick that off, just to ask a question, Kay. So in terms of this, as you've said, I know that a lot of people do have life insurance. The question would be, when you have life insurance, is it totally different from, for instance, if you have life insurance, does that cover you if you have a critical illness and you have to be taking treatment and you can't work? Do you get money from whatever life insurance that is, or is life insurance strictly life insurance?
Thank you so much for asking, which is why I wanted to keep it very short. The simple answer to that is that life insurance is exactly what it says. Life insurance, if you're no longer here, it is the only time that that policy pays. And I'll go further by saying that most people go for life insurance because it's the cheapest one. Unfortunately, critical illness is not the same thing as dying. Okay, they're two different things. So if you've got a policy, that's why you need to work with your advisor to make sure that they cover you for the right thing. If you're single, if you do not have a dependent, you do not need a life cover. Okay, I'll repeat that again so that you can quote me anywhere. If you do not have a dependent, you do not need a life cover. Life insurance is for your dependents when you passed on. So if you're getting something that is cheap and they're telling you that, yeah, you're covered, you're not. Now, critical illness will pay you a lump sum of money on the diagnosis of a critical illness, cancer being one of the biggest one, big four, we call it. So the answer is that you need to make sure that you work with an advisor to look at your needs. They do what we call shortfall analysis. It's very simple, it takes about 5 minutes. I can give you complimentary service on that. They will look at, okay, what's your age, what's your income, what's your budget, what are the areas of need? And they'll give you, it doesn't matter how much you have, they'll work towards your budget. So let's say you have 10 pounds, for example, and that's what I just showed you. They want for 10 pounds. So the reason why I'm saying that is that I say GoFundMe a lot. What 10 pounds will give you in protection, GoFundMe will never give you that. So please let us not be quick to send out. I'm not saying we should not give out GoFundMe, but actually a policy for 10 pounds, depending on your age, depending on your circumstances, is much more better than a GoFundMe. Okay.
Mm. Thank you so much. And the one other question I would like to ask, so if you had protection, maybe you started your protection like a long time ago, say before you then had a diagnosis like for cancer. So two questions in that. The first question will be, if you then wanted to change that protection that you had and you felt like, I'm paying too much premium, I'd like to go to someone else to take another protection. Is that a good thing? Noting that when you had that first one, you did not have a cancer diagnosis. And then now going to do that at this point in time, what is the impact of that? That's the first question. The second part of that question is, if you did have that protection before diagnosis, if you were now diagnosed and you are now fine, you're cancer free, and then you just go on with that protection. At that point, it didn't matter that you didn't then go back and say, oh, I've now been diagnosed with cancer, considering the fact that you are already cancer free and you've gone on with life.
Okay, good question and varies on point. We are speaking the mind of so many people today. As an advisor, and because it's a regulated product, please, please, and please, before you cancel any policy that you have, check, you can, like I said, go to your financial advisor. I'm happy to review for you. Make sure that you check what you cover for. Oftentimes, the policy that you have 5 years ago is probably the best at that time, based on the innovation, based on what is available. Just like you want to talk about before COVID and after COVID. Now, you can top up. That's why you have a review, yearly review with your advisor to make sure that you top up. So, for example, without naming any of the providers, they have carcinoma, level 1 cancer cover as standard. They didn't have that before, but after whatever has happened in the market, they now have that. What you can do is that you can top up what you already have. And ideally, before your advisor should cancel, or most advisor will not cancel, then the right one will not cancel what you have. What they will do is just to compare it. You can do a check and then top up in terms of what you don't have. The way insurance works is this. It does not matter whether you're covered today and something happened tomorrow, you're covered. You're covered for everything. So that's why you want to do it today. Once you're covered, that's really gold. That means that you're covered till most of the time 70, your retirement age will be covered till that, so that you'll be able to get cover. So what I will say to you is that two things. First one, try and get cover now. It means that if you're in good health now, it means that you're covered. And in fact, that's the time you can get the best. That's where you can maximize how much you want. And can I also say in terms of how much cover you want? For my clients, I normally say that if they don't know, I tell them that, why don't you cover for a year's salary? The meaning of that is that you don't want to be thinking about treatment and then thinking about work. And most of the workplaces, they cover you for NHS, for example. If you've been there for about 5 years or so, they cover you, and teachers, they cover you for 6 months full pay, and they cover you for another 6 months half pay. So what you want to do is that if you can, budget can permit, I would say that go for a whole salary, your gross income, whatever that is. Try and see if you can get a cover for that. If you can, meet the whole of your critical need. Because when you do the shortfall analysis, we will tell you the maximum amount that you can get covered for. So what you want to do is that you want to cover yourself, if you can afford it, for a whole year's salary. And once you do that, it means that should you be diagnosed later on, you will get a whole life, they'll pay on diagnosis. Okay, some of them 10 days after the diagnosis, they will pay you. So that's not a problem at all. So it means that you have a whole salary that you can recover. And in my experience, people that have money to look after themselves, they recover quicker, because money is not really a problem, because they know that when the employer stop paying them, they can still get money. So, health, stress, and all those things, all these other additional benefits that are there, it means that they can recover quicker. So the long and short is that cover yourself now, because you're covered from the day, once it's on risk. We said it's on risk. On risk means that they've accepted you. And sometimes they might rate it. Can I also digress and even tell you more now? If you go for a policy and they then tell you that, okay, because of the higher risk that you pose, they're going to rate your policy. What that means is that they're going to add a percentage to it. I'm telling you now, you need to cover yourself quickly. You know what? They're rating it because they can see you pose a risk. So I had the clients just this week. We applied for a policy and it came back 50% rated, meaning that instead of paying what we quoted, they now rated it 50, meaning that it's going to pay time, multiplied by 0.5 again, all the money. And I said to the client, actually, if the insurance company is saying this, that's the more reason you need to cover yourself, because your weight and your height, your BMI, tells them that you are at risk of something. Mm. And also go on a program to make sure that you lose your weight, because if you're carrying too much weight, it means that you're prone to type 2 diabetics, all those other things that we're not here to talk about those ones tonight, but it means that you're prone to those things, and you can come back from those things by just regular exercise, diet, sleeping, and all those things, which we all know, which is one of the things that you do and advocating as well. So please cover yourself now. It's as simple as that.
Thank you so much. And it's interesting that this even links with physical activity. Absolutely. So that's interesting. Well, we have a few questions on the chat. I'll just go through those quickly. I think you sort of mentioned this. Is there any life cover for someone diagnosed already? So if you've gotten a diagnosis already, I think you said some insurance companies now have that.
Okay, so two things. Ideally, before diagnosis is the best. And that's why your platform exists. because you're trying to empower people, educate people to make sure that they do it because it becomes a little bit challenging.
So if
Now,
now we're here and you now have a diagnosis and you don't have a cover, is there
so
a cover for that?
it's not the end, it's not the end. It just means that you're going to pay a lot more. Okay. So, well, if they covered you for example, let's say, 100%, it might be 250%. You can still get cover. I can help. You have a specialist, in this world, you have people that, as long as you have the money, but it's going to be hard. And can I just put it out there that, unfortunately, if you got type 1 diabetes, I'm still finding it in the UK, who can give you income protection? They won't give you. Okay. So for that reason, you want to make sure that you get every other thing. So there are some things that once you know you have some condition, then you want to make sure that you have a backup plan. Insurance is like a risk. You don't want to take that risk. You want to, pass that risk to this company. You pay them a premium every month so that should anything happen, they pay you those things. So that's the way it works. So please, if you have a condition, if you cannot get one thing, life insurance is one of those things that you can get because you know what? It's not common that people just die. I know that people still die, but it is the cheapest that you can get because it's the least likely to happen. But
Sorry, go on. I think
the one that you want to think about is your critical illness cover and your income protection. Those are the two that you need
so
to.
what you're saying is if you have a diagnosis already, it's going to be a bit difficult to get a cover. But if you can get a cover, but you'll be paying much more in terms of premium. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then someone asks on the chat, can family members get a payout from life insurance as a single individual without a dependent? Do you understand that question? Okay.
Thank you for bringing that back to cover what I said in terms of, if you're a single or you do not have a dependent. The only time we will give you a life insurance is to cover your mortgage if you're single, okay? And it could be that you have an aged person or your family member that you want them to, you want the mortgage to be paid off should you die. Or you have somebody, we can make an exception and say, actually, yes, you don't have a dependent, but you have this distant person or nephew that you have a home and you want them to, the home to be paid off and for them to have it as a benefit, put it in trust or something like that, you can do that. But ideally, if you go to an advisor, you do not have a dependent. I'll repeat that because I see this a lot. I've got this thing for £12. Now, life insurance will not pay when you're here. Why would you hold a life insurance that you are not going to see? What you need is an income protection and a critical illness cover because the chances that you're not going to go to work is higher. And actually, tonight I've got this a report that I'll share the link with everybody that you can see what's your chances of developing any of these things. It's not to scare you, it's just to make you, to bring it home. That these things are more prevalent than you can think. And once you know you can do something about it, it's called the risk report by Legal and General. It's a publicly available link, but I'll share with you so that I want to encourage you all to look at the risk of you being diagnosed with any of these things. You put your age, you put your name, you can put another, you don't need to put your name there. And non-smoker, smoker, and it give you the risk of you having any of these things. And as long as you protect yourself, that's the most important thing.
Okay, thank you. And someone says, can a non-resident get a cover?
Unfortunately, there are two conditions you need to meet to be able to get protection in the UK. It's for UK residents, okay? You need to be in the UK, you need to be here for 2 years, and you need to have a medical record. So it means that you'll be registered with a GP. If you meet those two conditions, you will get covered. As easy as you might think, if you have not been in the country for 2 years, if you do not have a GP record or you're not registered with a GP, unfortunately, in the UK, you will not be able to get these policies.
Okay. There's another one. How about when the critical illness cover does not cover existing illness at the time of setting up the cover? I have this issue with Aviva, even when some of the critical illness could be a consequence of existing disease. Any comments on that?
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's one of the reasons why I do what I do, because oftentimes people, you just take it that what's the work of an advisor? They just they put the cover in place. That's the easiest part of the work. Actually, what that person is talking about is actually the main thing. There are 5 possible outcomes when you apply for a protection. And one of them is what your audience have just mentioned there. If you have an existing condition, it could be excluded. Exclusion means that thank you for being honest. Thank you for being accurate. But based on the risk that we are seeing, we will not cover you for the existing condition. It's very clear. And they are just not comfortable to take that risk. And so they will exclude it. That's one of the conditions. There are 5 possible outcomes for you when you apply to this. It's not automatic that everybody that applies will get it. Just like I just mentioned there, something was rated. Rated means that, okay, because of the high level of what they've seen, they think there is a risk and they want to increase. So one of the 5 outcomes is that they will say, okay, they're going to exclude. So for example, you have sciatica or something like that, and they'll just tell you that if anything like that happens or you have stress or related anxiety or stuff like that, they might tell you that anything relating to that, we will not cover it. Insurance company are okay to reject. That's why you work with an advisor to go to other provider for you. And that's really the work. The work is to make sure that we get you the protection that you need. But I must say that unfortunately, sometimes you might have the money, but no company wants to cover you. And that's the saddest thing, that you have the money, but they don't want to cover you. It's because of the risk. But yes, if you have an existing condition, all that you need to do is to go to other providers to try and see if they can cover you. And while I'm saying go to other provider, you mentioned Aviva, so I'll tell you a little bit about Aviva now. If you go to Aviva website and you buy a policy, I can assure you tonight, what you're buying that you think is cheap is not the same thing as what an advisor will give you. And listen to when they talk to you, they'll tell you that go to your advisor. So they're giving you the cheap and cheerful because that's what you're asking for. It's non-advised. So if you want to risk, you go to your job because you're a professional, you do your job. So that's why you need somebody that can read those terms and conditions and tell you what are not excluded there. And that's why it's cheap. So please let us, take this thing seriously. As you know, we're here because we're given the time to be here. Let us engage with this and make sure that we're adequately protected. And that was why I showed you at the beginning. There's a standard one. There's an upgraded one. There are 2 for a reason. So please make sure what you have. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. And in 2 minutes, we'll land this in 2 minutes, so we'll go to our next speaker. So 2 quick questions. First is, let's assume that I have, as an interesting one, continued to pay cover towards a cover for over 25 years and nothing happened to me, no illnesses or whatever. Would I recover some or all of that money, or is it gone? Is that it? It's gone. I paid it for 25 years.
I really want to commend you, okay, for putting that on the screen. Listen, as an advisor, that's my prayer for you every day. I pray that you never claim.
Amen.
It means that you're living a good life. It means that you're thriving. It means that it's done exactly that. It's taking away the risk. Now, when you go to McDonald's and you eat, do you go back there and say, okay, I ate last year? Yeah, so can I have my money back? When you go to clean your car, okay, and you wash that thing and it rains as you drove, driving out of the place. So please, you've lived a good life. We celebrate you.
We thank God for that.
Yeah, give us a secret, because some people are not, are not privileged to have lived for 25 years with nothing. So well done. So that money will go on to cover other people. Okay, when you buy a car and you insure that car, how many times do you have a claim on the car insurance? But it's by law, you need to have car insurance. Or you don't go to your insurance company and say, okay, give me back my money. So let's, I'm sure you understand the point. All right. But thank you for putting the question there. Yeah, that's one of the questions I do hear from people. All right.
Thank God. And the very last one before we move on is, What type of insurance pays monthly for a critically ill person? So learn that in 1 minute.
Fantastic. It's called income protection. Very, very simple. Is the most important insurance. Okay. Thank you that we're gonna end up in that. When you go to anybody, once you're 18, from 18 to 70, the first thing that you need is called income protection. If you cannot get that, go to your critical illness. Okay. Why? If you earn money, ability to pay your monthly bills, okay, is called income protection. And that's what you need first. So if you're in the UK, you're earning, you need income protection IP is called. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Kay's details were put on the chat, but if that could be put on the chat again, please, by one of the team for me, could you please help put Kay's details on the chat? You can reach out to him personally, as it has been said. It is really, really, really important for us to have protection and cover. Nobody plans anything, but these things happen. When I was diagnosed with cancer, I didn't plan that, but it happened. And our prayer is that we're all going to keep being well, but it's good that, if for any reason we have an illness, we can't work during that time, we have something to cover us. So do try to do something about that if you don't have anything in place now. I know that now a lot of people do put things in place. So thank you so much, Kay, for that. If people still have questions, you can put it in the chat and we will look into that later. Again, welcome to those who are not here when we're saying welcome. We're here again. My name is Flo Aderoju, and I run an organization called the Pink Smile, which is a breast cancer organization, creating awareness, encouraging us to reach out, to speak out, and as much as possible to do all we can to prevent cancer. A cancer diagnosis is not a death sentence, and early prevention, early detection saves lives, clearly. I had an early detection. I'm here today to the glory of God, and we're encouraging that. And so now I'm going to introduce another thriver. So we say thriver. I remember Jeff. Jeff is here. He spoke about prostate cancer the other day, and he said, we're thriving. So we're not surviving, we're thriving, to the glory of God, and we're happy about that. So this darling sister of mine, first, I want to say thank you to her because this was her really going out of her comfort zone. This is the very first time she's going to be sharing her story. She has never shared it before, and she said to me, I want to share my story. And the whole essence of that, it's always about helping others. The more we see ourselves thriving, the more we're encouraged that we can beat cancer. Together, we can beat cancer. So Woju Odunaike is a teacher by profession and a former head of school. And she has been in the education space for over 20 years. Um, Woju, from what we put out, you see that she got married at about almost 44. She's now married to that wonderful man she was waiting for. She waited, and he is an amazing man. And when she talks, you see, she will talk about her husband and the support. So she got married at almost 44, and her journey has been one of strength, of resilience, and of hope. And today, I'm just going to leave her to share her story. So please welcome with me the amazing Divalicious. I tell her she's my diva. The amazing Divalicious. Would you please, could you, we can see e-claps if you guys don't mind. Could we just see some e-claps and just encourage her? Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being vulnerable. I know that, yeah, I'm just happy that you're here. So I know that your story, you sharing your story will also encourage someone out there to know that, here you are. Yes, you went through it, but here you are still standing and will continue to stand in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Okay,
Amen.
so yeah, so I'll just start by saying, so we have spoken, and yes, you got married at a time when in our community, when by then they're saying, so when is it happening? When is it happening? And
Absolutely.
eventually you did get married. It was December 2021. You were
Yes.
almost 44, you were 43 then. And you were obviously excited about having a baby and starting your family. But then what happened? Just tell us, just to start that.
Okay. So, good evening, everyone, and thank you all for joining the platform. And thank you so much, sis, for giving me the opportunity to share my story. Now, before I start, I'm going to, you will have to pardon me because my story is all about faith, is about God. I'm not, for everything I say, I'm going to bring God into it because sitting down here today, it could only have been God. And I know that along the journey, I did make a covenant with him, and I said to him that I am not going to rob him of the glory. So I got married in December 2021 to my husband, Olamide. Um, I would have turned 44 in March 2022, and then he was 54 going on 55. Now, the two of us have never been married before. We don't have children. So I mean, as I say with my cousins, you know, we're both terrible, so to say. So I mean, he's British, and then he's based here, but he does come home every now and again. Anyways, that was when we met, and then we got married, and then before I got married, I'm a teacher. I mean, having over 20 years experience, I'm very good with children. But I've always been very like, well, I want to have my children. You know, at some point, I mean, and particularly because of the culture, you know, when I hit 40, I'm not going to lie to you, I really just gave up on marriage. For me, I just wanted to have a child. So prior to my getting married, you know, I had gone to see several gynecologists. Oh, they had told me that, oh, they had done several tests on me. They had said, oh, I had a very low ovarian reserve, you know. So, well, at some point I left it. But okay, you know what, thank God, what will be would be. So I left it. And for me, it was a case of what will be would be. So my husband came, we got married December 2021. Then February 2022, we started to try for a baby. Now, you know, I said earlier that they had said to me that my ovarian reserve was very low. In fact, they said I had no eggs in my right ovary, that it was only my left ovary, and what I had was very little. So to cut the long story short, they said the best thing for us to do, obviously I couldn't conceive naturally, so it had to be a case of you have to do IVF. Okay, this is me, this is my husband. They did the checks, they ran everything, and then we started the cycle. You know, if you know the way it works, you know, it never clicks anyway. So the first one didn't click, you know, so immediately it doesn't click, you know, we go back to the doctor, and then, you know, he will say, okay, why don't you just relax? I'm like, no, I used to tell my husband then that, look, let's get this pregnancy over and done with. So we tried, we had 3 failed cycles, you know, back to back. Around that time, my husband had to travel out. He was out for about 6 months. And when the last one didn't click, he had to leave anyway. So he was out for 6 months, and then I had to join him for about 2 months. Then I came back home, and then he joined me in December of 2022. Then in January, and then prior to all of this as well, even after the failed IVFs, my period was up and down. It was going up and down like a yo-yo. So it would come this month, it wouldn't come this month. I think it came, the last time I saw it was September 2022. Then I didn't see it in November, then I didn't see it in December. And I'm like, okay, here we go again. So at that point, all we wanted to do was just to rest a bit and then start the cycle again. So my husband got in December. Then I asked him, okay, so when are we going to start this IVF process again? We've rested. He goes, you know what, Woju, this is all about finances. You know, I've spent so much doing this thing. I need a break. We'll start in February. So I saw my period in January, and I left it. So February came, I kept stressing him. He said to me that, Woju, look, I can't afford it. So we have to wait. So along the line, I think March, I was I was a bit unwell. And then we did the pregnancy test. So say I did the pregnancy test and it came out that I was pregnant. So I was ecstatic. I was very happy, you know, but it so happened that as soon as I found out that I was pregnant, the pregnancy came down. Then we went back to the doctor and he says, okay, you know what? The fact that you could even conceive naturally, then that means that there's some miracle going on somewhere. That, you know what, why don't you would you just leave it for a bit? Let's give it another 3 to 4 months. And then you guys can come back and then he told us that we're going to try another strategy anyways. So I turned 45 on the 26th of March, 2022. So at sometime the end of April, you know, then we were still in Lagos. So we used to stay in 1004, we stay in the high-rise building. And anyone that knows 1004, the high-rise, the way the lifts work. But my husband and I, we have this thing that either of us, when we're going out, you know, we will walk each other to the door and then we'll wait for the person to get downstairs just to be sure that, okay, you go downstairs safe and sound, nothing happened to you in the lift. We'll blow a case, enter your car, then we'll go inside. Now, I also have this very bad habit that when I'm not going out, even if I go out and I come in, the first thing I do really is I take off my bra. That's the first thing I do. So this particular day, my husband was going out. So I waited for him on the corridor. I was by the balcony and it was taking forever for him to get down. So I was like, oh dear, 1004 lift again. You know, in the process of doing that, you know, I wasn't wearing bra anyway, so I just put my hand into my t-shirt and I was just playing with my breast, you know, just holding it like this. Then I noticed that, wait a minute, there seems to be like a little indentation in my lower breast, my left breast. I didn't pay much to it. I left it. This was during the week. Then on Saturday afternoon, I think my husband quickly popped out. So I wanted to go and have a bath. So I went to have a bath and I was done. And we have this mirror in our bathroom. I finished having my bath. I was drying my body. Then my eye just went to that breast and that indentation. I was like, what is this? Of course, they say Google is your friend. So I ran into the room. I picked my phone. What does it mean to have an indentation in the lower part of your breast? The first thing Google brought out was, and this wasn't about AI then, I mean, if I'm right, the first thing Google brought out was, it could be breast cancer. Breast cancer. I have this auntie. Prior to this, let me digress a bit. I've had lumps taken out of my breast. So I have this auntie, for every surgery I've done, she's always been the anesthetic surgeon. So she's my go-to when it comes to anything medical. So I picked up the phone and I called her. She doesn't work she doesn't practice in Nigeria any longer. She said to me that, what's the time? Okay, it's still evening. They haven't closed Mikio. That go to the nearest Mikio to you and go and do a mammogram. So I called my husband and he came back home and we went to Mikio. We did the mammogram in no time. On our way, she now called back and said, make sure you don't do a mammogram alone. Make sure you do a scan. So they said to me that we couldn't do the scan at that time, that because they had closed and it was already late, that I should come back on Monday. So Monday was a public holiday. So as early as 7 o'clock, I left the house. I went there. Of course, the line there was so long. Anyway, we got in. Let me fast forward. Around 11:30, they sent me the results of the mammogram. And it showed that though there's a mass there, but it seems normal. So they gave me the all clear with the mammogram. So immediately I forwarded it to my auntie, I forwarded it to my husband, and they both said, thank God, but you know, you still have to do the scan. So I waited around, I think 11:45 or 12 or thereabouts, I can't remember. I went in, the doctor started. I mean, in 5 minutes or less, he was done with my right breast. Then he went on to the left breast. Then he started 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. What was going on? Then he says to me that is there any history of breast cancer in your family? How many are you? Do you have sisters? Does your mother have breast cancer? I was like, no, we don't have anything like that in the family. After about 1 hour, 20 minutes, he now said, okay, you know what? She's going to do a report that I should sit down. Then he went to my armpits and he said, well, I didn't even know what lymph nodes were called then. He said, well, your lymph nodes doesn't seem to be clear. Something is not clear there, but I will write my reports. So by that time, the film had come out from the people there, and I'd given him, then I gave him the reports. And then he said to me that, no, this report is conflicting. What I'm seeing and what they said is very different. So he says, you know what, you need to go back and meet your doctor and let them assess it. But what I will say in this report is that you need to take it out. I didn't understand what he meant, because for the life of me, I've had 3 surgeries done before. I've had a lump taken out of my right breast. I've had a lump taken out of my left breast. I've had fibroid surgery. They all came back benign. There was nothing. So I just thought, okay, let's look for the doctor. So I go back to my auntie. She referred me to the man, a doctor in some hospital in Lagos, a government hospital in Lagos, that he did the first surgery ever for me. And I did that when I was about 25 or 27 then. So I saw the man and he said to me that, well, he's in training, but he's going to hand me over to a younger doctor. So no problems. So my husband and I sat there. This younger doctor examined me. I'm sorry to say, it seemed a bit unserious, but he said, okay, yeah, well, for what it's worth, he's going to write some biopsy that I should go and do the biopsy. And that, yeah, there are other scans and tests I'm going to do, but looking at it, he's not sure if I can afford it. But anyway, let's even start with this biopsy anyway. So he wrote the biopsy, and then I asked him, I said, can I go and do it outside? He said, no, we don't take that here. That this is a government hospital. You have to do it within our premises. The lab that where you're going to do it is just right across us here. So my husband and I went. We got there. Was some professor who entered the office. They looked at it. They said, well, unfortunately, they're not going to go with the biopsy that this doctor wrote, because this biopsy is not deep enough for them. That what they're saying, the report I brought from Nikio, that I have to do a core biopsy. I didn't know what a core biopsy was. So they said, if we're not in a hurry, that there's another professor that they need to do it together, and that professor is working that day. That's so if you can wait for it. We weren't prepared, but anyways, we waited. To cut the long story short, I entered into the mini theater where they were going to do the biopsy. I'm not running anything down. I'm not running anyone down. I didn't know any better. So I went in. I was like, just like the sheep going to the slaughter slab. So I went in, and then they did my biopsy. They didn't give me any local anesthesia whatsoever. And they told me that they were going to take 5 strands of tissue out. So you can imagine the pain that I was in. I was in so much pain. I thought my life was going to end that day. Like by the time I came out, my eyes were puffy. I just even collapsed into my husband's hands. Anyway, we went home. They now said that in 3 weeks' time, we will get the result of the biopsy. So I think when it came out, they told us that it was ready. So my husband and I went to pick it up at that hospital. But they said to us that they now referred us that we had to go back to the pathology department, and they have to interpret it for us. So we went there. Now, they said to us that the doctors were on strike, but that the only doctor that is available is not willing to even see anybody. That's so she can't see me. So I think the officer assistant just said to us that, let me see what you have. Let me interpret it. So she just opened it, and just casually, she just said, this is invasive lobular carcinoma. This is breast cancer. Of course, my whole world collapsed. Then I'm like, God, from looking for a child, IVF, miscarriage, I'm here, breast cancer. Anyways, they called my auntie, and she said to us that, look, it's not the end of the world. It's cancer is, there's so much advancement now, that I'm going to be fine. And then again, they didn't stage it. So we didn't know what we were dealing with. Anyway, to cut the long story short, that's how I got my cancer diagnosis. Now, I got home. Now, I'm the last born. My husband is the second born, but the first boy. So it became very important that we had to share it with our siblings. So We shared it with our siblings. We shared it with the spouses. We shared it with our cousins. Then I shared it with my close friends. Sharing it with my close friends, of course, I was crying. I mean, I didn't know left from right. I shared it with my close cousins as well. I really didn't know left from right. I was very confused. But at that point, because of what we experienced during my biopsy, my husband had said to me that whatever the case, we're not staying here. He's British. So he just felt, okay, yeah, we'll come to England, we'll do what we have to do, and we'll start the treatments. So my friends then looked for some other private hospital in Lagos that I could go to. So they were the ones that weekend. I think they booked it for me. I think they paid, it was the support I got from them was awesome. Mm. Then I went in. Well, at that time, because we had said we weren't staying in Lagos, we're already talking to hospitals in England here, but they needed a baseline to work with. So I did a CT scan in that hospital. But getting home, my husband still he didn't feel it. He said, look, Woju, we're not staying here, that we're going to go. Now, my faith at that time, was I scared? Yes, I was. Did I think I was going to die? Maybe not. Did I cry to God? Yes, I did. My husband his faith has always been stronger than mine, so he just kept telling me that you're not going to die, you're going to live, you're not going to die, you're going to live. So then that's even when I started taking communion with bread, with Ribena. Fast forward, is it okay to go on with the story?
Oh, yeah, but I'm just going to comment because I just want to press some points of the things that you said. Obviously, because what we're doing here is encouraging people.
Yes.
I think the first thing when you were discussing, which you've mentioned, is that you had a history of lumps in your breasts before then. And you've taken out lumps, not once, but I think twice before that.
Yes.
So at this point, I would just like to say, because sometimes you have people who have had lumps and they've had lumps taken out. And because those lumps have been benign, another lump comes and you just feel like, oh, I've done this before, I've done it once, I've done it twice. There's nothing, and they don't bother. So again, we're saying it doesn't matter if you've had it taken out once, twice, three times. Every time you see anything that is different in your body, please just go and get it checked out. Because if you had made that assumption and you did not go in the third time, we'll be saying a different story today. So that's important. That please don't make an assumption. Always, always, always go and get yourself checked out. And then also you said even which I found interesting, I hadn't really had that, the mammogram did not catch it. But the third one that you saw wasn't even a lump, it was an indentation.
Yes, it was.
So again, if you don't really know yourself and even notice that that was something abnormal, you wouldn't have gone. So this is another interesting thing. It was not a lump that Woju saw this time around. She saw lumps and they were benign. She'd taken them out on different occasions. But at this time, it actually wasn't a lump. It was an indentation. So we're saying if you see anything different in your breast, so it doesn't always have to be a lump because everyone just hears lump, lump, lump. It could be anything. So an indentation, which is something looking abnormal in your breast. It could be a discharge. Please go and get it checked out. The third thing that I took out of that, you said then you decided to tell, your family, your friends, and that support system, those people you told were one of the major peoples who helped in trying to get things going.
Yeah.
It's one of the major things, we're speaking about. Speak out and reach out. Support system at this time is key. They help you through it. And someone would say it's about getting the right support system. And that is true. And I think that goes with what you're doing in your life now. Who are you surrounding yourself with? But at this time, you do need people to help you. If you keep quiet about it, that can lead to depression. That can lead to all sorts of things, which eventually affects your health. So speak out and reach out. Go get yourself checked out, even if you've done the same thing so many times before. If something else comes up, please go and get yourself checked out. Yeah. Just because there are messages we're putting out there, I just thought to say that. So we'll fast forward to you then coming to the UK and, you know, the diagnosis and all that. Yeah. So you can go on from there. So you obviously got that diagnosis in Nigeria. You decided to come into the UK and just.
So we came in, and let me just drop this here though. He actually, you see that insurance, there's nothing as important as that thing in this life. I mean, I can tell anybody that for free. You know, the things we take for granted. I mean, I never thought that a time would come when I could need it. My husband never thought, I mean, he's British, so he gets his treatment free anyways. He never thought that there was a time could come that he could need it. But by the time he got here, because I'd already been diagnosed, it was too late to do anything. The GP sold me quite all right, because you know that, I mean, that's your first point of call here. So, you know, I started they had to carry out several tests. So I became more aware of what exactly it was that they were doing. I think I had the test I did was 10 blood tests, scans, you know. Meanwhile, in Nigeria, they had condemned the breast and they had said that, oh, I was going to have a double mastectomy. The private hospital, the government hospital, I hadn't done one MRI. They had said I was going to do a double mastectomy. Every single time I saw my consultant then, you know, from the private hospital, I would break down and I would cry. And she would tell me that, yeah, she understands, but you see, if she doesn't go through all of this, she doesn't know the treatment that she's going to give me. Now, again, I'm going to bring in my support system. I'm going to bring in God. I saw the awesomeness of God. I saw the goodness of God. I got a word before I left Nigeria that if I don't rob him, that is God now, of the glory that, and if I worship him in spirit and in truth, that he will hold my hand, that I will work through this fire, that it won't burn me. And honestly, getting to the UK, that was what happened. For every time they gave me the test, for every time they gave me the figures, I would break down and I would cry. But you see, right from our parents to, when I say our parents, where both of us, my husband and I, our fathers are late, but we both have mothers as our life. So our mother's siblings and spouses, our cousins, our own siblings and spouses, our friends, you know, God used them for us in ways we cannot even begin to imagine and fathom. Everybody that heard about my story rallied around us. For every single time I had to do a scan, even this was even before the treatment started, they came through for my husband and I. How God did it, we don't know, but we're talking about thousands, tens of thousands of pounds. I was done with all the tests. Now I had to have the treatment done. The first thing was they said they were going to do a lumpectomy. So I was a bit surprised that, wow, lumpectomy. But they said they were going to cut off my breast in where I was coming from. But the doctor said, well, they're giving it a long shot for breast conservation. But however, they're not going to touch my right breast anyways. But that my left breast, if my margins are not clear, then they might have to do a mastectomy. And then don't forget that I also had a lymph node involvement. To the glory of God, I did my surgery on the 2nd of August, 2023. Yes, it took hours because they did like 2 surgeries in one. They took out the cancer. Apparently, where the cancer was in the breast was even very little. It hadn't spread, but it had gotten to the lymph nodes. They took out 10 lymph nodes. Out of the 10 lymph nodes, they took out 5 of it had cancer. They did an auxiliary lymph node clearance for me. But Then they had said to me that I had to come back for the post-op, so that if I come back for the post-op, if my margins aren't clear, then they're going to have to do a mastectomy for me. That it wasn't debatable. Wow. Like I said, our parents, several of them had called in to tell us that, look, whatever treatment they tell us that we're going to take, it is not negotiable. It is not debatable. We are going to take it. If they tell me that I'm going to do chemotherapy, I will do chemotherapy. If they tell me I'm going to do radiotherapy, I will do radiotherapy. So by the time my first post-op with my doctor, then they had formed a proper treatment plan for me. And he said to me that, to the glory of God, my margins were clear, so no need for a mastectomy, that he was just going to leave it at a lumpectomy. He told me to raise my hand. I did different things. Even he couldn't believe it. Then they had to take out the plaster, because it was all plastered up, and he saw how the breast was healing nicely. So I now started my chemotherapy. I was meant to have like 8 rounds of chemotherapy. Now, that was tough. When I say it was tough, that was tough. It was very, very tough. That's the grace of God, my husband, my support system were the ones that saw me through it. In fact, I think I remember one particular night, because I used to have my chemotherapy every 2 weeks. So I was going to have like 8 cycles. I was going to have, I had EC, then I had paclitaxel. So for the EC, I used to go in every 2 weeks for it. When I get it from day one, I'm fine. Day 2, once I get the injection, to day 11, day 12, I'm not myself. I mean, I can't do anything. I can't eat. I just can't do anything. I did this back to back. I took my 4 ECs with the support of my husband. He's a very, when I think back, I just thank God that when the Bible says that the race is not to the swift, the battle is not to the strong, I saw that in my husband, time and chance. It was time and chance that brought us together, but he was a good husband all throughout that time when I was going through my treatment. I finished my EC, then I started on my paclitaxel. Now with EC, they said that it deals with the bone marrow. So the injection they used to give me was to build the bone marrow, which obviously will kill every other thing in me. They said the paclitaxel would be better, but that one deals with the bones and the muscles. So I think I had my first round of paclitaxel. Then I started on my second round of paclitaxel. I was fine. I didn't have issues. Day 1, day 2, day 3. I think about day 5. What is EC? I think what they call it really is I think it's Red Devil. That's what they call it. So when I started on the second one of the paclitaxel, I had this reaction. Oh my God. My body started to itch. I know that a lot of us here, we used to react to chloroquine or anything queen. So imagine that reaction raised to power 100. When I start to itch in the mornings, I will itch from morning till night. I mean, I'm talking about itching whereby there's no dignity left in you. When I start to itch at night, I would itch from night till morning. It was that bad. Then my oncologist said she had to stop it, that I've had 6 chemotherapy sessions, that is fine, that I'm still going to have radiotherapy anyways. But in all of this, the day that she said she was going to stop it, that she gave me steroids right from the clinic. She gave me steroids. From that day, in the hospital, this thing started again. It took 4 nurses, 1 doctor to pin me down. when we started the journey, that was the first time that I was going to see that my husband was scared. He couldn't take it again. He almost busted out crying. My husband is a very strong man. He walked out. They had even taken it out, you know. I mean, I still had the pots, but they had taken that thing out. But then they had to start to infuse all sorts in me. They calmed me down in the hospital. Then we got home. It was almost like an attack. In fact, then my husband had put on worship song, you know, that, okay, I know you can't pray, but let's worship. So I was just about to sleep. And then this thing started again. Thankfully, the steroids started to kick in shortly after that. Then they stopped it. Now, they gave me a break of a couple of weeks before I started my radiotherapy. Now, the way it works, for every treatment, they would give you a break just so that your body can recover. But there's a time frame that it mustn't lapse, that you have to continue. So because I didn't finish my chemotherapy sessions, they said I was going to have 15 sessions of radiotherapy. And in that 15 sessions, they were going to give me a booster of 4, making 19 sessions. Now, I can sit back and I can talk about it, but when I was having my treatments, it was tough. It wasn't easy. I thank God for the support I got from everybody, from my family to my friends to my husband's friends. You know, it wasn't even just only the financial. You know, they were calling, they were checking up on us, they were sending food to us. You know, it was a walk in the park. Truly what God told me in the very beginning, that if I believe and I trust in him, that he was going to see me through. And that is what he actually did with me. And that is what he's still doing with me. Now, I finished my treatments last year on the 13th of February, to the glory of God. Though they had said it to me that they had cleared all the cancer, that I didn't have cancer again, but I had to get on my endocrine therapy, which I have to use for the next 5 years. So which I have to see my doctors, I have to do my scans, I have to have the mammograms done. Most recently now, because they've changed it for me, I'm on monthly injections, but you know, it keeps getting better. You know, I'm sitting here today, first and foremost, to let everybody know that, honestly, I don't pray for anyone, but if it is caught on time, it is not a death sentence. I'm also sitting here today to give all the glory to God. Amen. It wasn't my husband, it wasn't myself, it wasn't our support system. It was God, because that thing was tough. I actually remember one night when during my chemo, I think my husband just, I don't know what happened. He just started banging my back. And he told me that, look, you were on your way out. You were already unconscious, you know, but I'm sure it was just God. I mean, this is him and I sleeping in a room that is dark. But because he was very observant, he noticed that something was amiss with his wife. So I think he told me then that it was almost as though you were going. So I had to bang you back to reality. But this is me sitting here today. We're still married. Our marriage is not strained. I thank God every day that, yes, he came late. I mean, at almost 44, but he's probably the one that God said that I was going to end up with. He's probably the one that God said that I was going to work the journey with. I've had several stories, you know, my family, from my mother. Now, so in all of this, my mother did not know, and we still didn't tell her. But my mom's senior sister, my mom's younger ones, my mother-in-law is a prayer warrior. She's a woman of faith. So we told her every single day. My siblings, their spouses, my cousins, you know, the prayers they do for my husband, like, it could only have been God that, you know, made him walk that walk with me. You know, I just want to encourage all of us that, number one, paying attention to your body is key. I think I have a gift because all the surgeries, like I said, the first lump was, I think I was 25 or 27. I mean, they didn't even want to do a mammogram for me in the hospital when I went then. They were like, I'm too young. But when they did I didn't do a biopsy then, but when they did the mammogram, they did see that, yes, it was a lump, but it was benign, and then they took it out. The second one as well, I noticed it myself. I think I took out the second one at 41. I noticed it myself. No one told me about it. I noticed it myself. And then see how the third one came and see how God just, the most minute details, I think is best we pay attention to it. I'm entering my second year in remission to the glory of God. I'm fine. I thank God for everyone that He's used for us. And I know that all of us that are going through this, it's a permanent healing that God has given us. And I also met a lot of wonderful women on my journey. I mean, I said something earlier. I said friends of friends, people I didn't even know, everybody chipped in. So along the line, meeting friends of friends, I came across wonderful women that were going through this breast cancer treatments. And a lot of times they encouraged me, we would pray together, even in my states, and they would tell me that, would you look, I have survived it. Would you look, I am going through it. You must begin with the end in mind. It is not going to defeat you. You are going to defeat it. And I also thank God that I had someone to walk the journey with me, because I really feel that my healing, apart from coming from God, my healing also came from the fact that I have a supportive husband. I have a supportive mother-in-law. I have my family gave me support. My husband's family gave me support. They were just awesome and they were wonderful. So I think I'll stop here just in case there are any questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being vulnerable. Wow. Yeah, I just want to say thank you. And I say that we're here to do this. You said yourself, you met so many people in the journey who have been through it and they're thriving today. And so just taking a few points from what you said again, know your body, check yourself, let's just check ourselves, even if we decide it's monthly or whenever it is, check yourself. If you see anything amiss, go to the GP, go to the hospital, wherever you are, and get it checked out. Don't assume. And she's spoken so much about support system. Speak out and reach out. Cancer diagnosis is not a death sentence. Early detection saves lives. And as she said, that's where she is. I like the way you explained what you went through. So we're not saying it's easy. We're not saying the treatment is easy. I know sometimes when she was going through that treatment and I will call her, it's not easy, but let's do it. I say to people, at least give yourself a chance to life. All the myths around treatment. It's not easy. And yes, they say, oh, chemo kills this and does that. But she's here today and we're grateful. And I'm sure it's her wonderful husband. She's giving side eye there. So your husband should show his face. So let's hail him. Will he do that for us? So we say a big thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Odunaike, for taking care. For taking care of Woju. And we say out there for people who are supporting people going through this, your support is so important. It's needed. Please help them through it. And again, I quickly take this opportunity. I always don't like to keep people. We've overrun by about 5 minutes. So I'm just going to land this in 5 minutes. Again, Woju Odunaike, who is now approaching her second year of remission after going through chemo, radiotherapy, surgeries. But here she is today, still standing, looking beautiful, looking delicious as always. So thank you. We're generals of heaven, I say. So please, if you're going through this, you want any support, you can reach out. Someone might put on the screen now for me if you have the Pink Smile Charity. Everyone, please follow us on Instagram is at Pink Smile Charity. That's the Instagram page for updates, as we come with updates. As I said, we have gotten a grant and we're running a 9 months project. Please do reach out. You can reach us on info@pinksmile.org. If that could be put in the chat, please, Sam, or for me, info@pinksmile.org. We're going to be having a support group bi-weekly for people who have gone through this. We need that space to talk. It's just like Woju, you can see when she's speaking, she wants to say what she's been through. We need that space. It's not everyone who can come out here and talk about it. But please, if you've been through this journey, reach out to me either at Floaderoju on Instagram or Pink Smile Charity. You can DM me or send me an email on info@pinksmile.org. Let's talk. Let's come together to help one another, to encourage one another, to lift up one another. We're going to be having support groups bi-weekly where it's just people who have been through this process, this journey, where we can encourage one another, we can speak of our journeys, we can ask questions, we can just help one another in that space. So that will be bi-weekly going forward. We're also going to be having monthly in-person awareness days. The next one, or the first one actually, will be the 22nd of February. Details will go out. So we will send out information on that. Hopefully you register so we can send that through to you via email. And also, as I said, we will be sponsoring 65 women, giving out free wigs to people who have been through chemotherapy, are going through chemotherapy. As we know, when going through chemotherapy, you lose your hair, and we always have to have wigs for that purpose. So we will be giving out free wigs. So again, do reach out, Pink Smile, info@pinksmile.org, and let us hear your story. At all the in-person events, we will be giving out about 6 weeks, 7 weeks at each event, but you will attend that event. So please let us know. And our next virtual event will be in 2 months' time. We'll be having that bi-monthly. I don't know if there's anyone who wants to share anything or say anything before we land this. Please just put up your hands, your e-hands, if you want to share anything. I don't know if there are any questions on the chat. I don't think there are any questions right now. If also you want to share your story, please reach out to me through those channels. What we do here is let people share their story, and once we see people thriving, it encourages the next person also in their own journey and in this process. I really, really appreciate the support of everyone. I don't take it for granted that people come here all the time and spend, 1 hour, half an hour, 1.5 hours, whatever it is with us. It is very encouraging. This is not an easy journey for people to go through, but we're here to support, and we're going to continue doing this by God's grace. So again, we'll be starting that project. Please reach out. We're giving out wigs. Please reach out. We're starting a support group, and we will put out information of the events which anybody can attend. It's a free event. It will be a breakfast event. It is free breakfast, and we'll be sharing. We'll have people come in to talk about mental health, to talk about nutrition. We'll have oncologists in the house sometimes. We will have breast cancer nurses, and we'll have people who are sharing their story. We would have things to do also with prostate cancer for men, and just different things. But again, just landing this, go for screening, please. When you get those letters in, don't dump them somewhere. A lot of people have found out that they had cancer just through routine screening. But more importantly, we're trying to also prevent this. Eat well, do your physical activities, your exercise. This all helps us in this space. So I'm going to say thank you to everyone again. Thank you all for being here. Our next virtual event will be in the next 2 months. I look forward to seeing you, and I do look forward to seeing quite a few of you at our in-person events. It will be lovely to put faces to names. I appreciate you all. I don't take it for granted that you are here, and I say a massive, massive thank you. K. Odetola, his details are on the chat, and he also has complimentary 30-minute sessions if you want to talk to him just to know what you have or what you want to do in the place of protection and insurance, which we have said again is very important. Thank you, everyone. And we are ending it all here. Thank you so much, and God bless you all. Take care and have an amazing weekend. God bless you all. And thank you so much to our team. Sam, thank you so much for me. God bless you so much for everything you've been doing in the background. I really am appreciative. God bless. Thank you, everyone. I hope I didn't miss anything on the chat. Thank you. Tosan, thanks a lot.
Well done.
Thank you so much.
Great work. Well done. Well done.
Thank you so much.
So
Thanks.
please, how do we in the US get our free breakfast?
All you need to do is get on a plane and you got it straight away, very quickly. We can stop recording, Sam, please.